Yesterday, Heather Antos gave an interview to a small comic book channel. There were about 20 people in the chat, and about 10 of those were people friendly to this channel who were just watching the show. It made me realize something because nobody asked any questions about what's going on with IDW. Nobody asked what's going on with any of the licenses or anything pertinent to actual business that's going on in the comic book industry. They just kind of like made weird questions like who'd be your ideal starship crew? Like it's just people hanging out at a mixer or something like that rather than actually presenting a comic oriented show. But when I saw the reaction of what happened here, when we were in the chat and we simply said, like, hello, comics fans, and I asked about what was going on with IDW because there's been a slew of cancellations as of late. And of course, nobody at the company is saying anything about it. It's like they're directed to just be silent about all these cancellations happening across the board here. They banned me from the chat, of course. I saw Heather typing, and once Heather typed, she banned me from the chat. What this made me realize is these people live in abject fear of us. And by us, it's comic fans, comic professionals, comic journalists, anybody who would actually care about a property, anybody who actually has a deep connection to all this stuff and to, of course, this whole medium. From the time we were growing up, they don't want us around. And this is something I actually talked about yesterday. When SJWs invade these spaces, they do so and they get in, and they, of course, do so under the guise of diversity. We need to diversify things. We don't want this company to be a bunch of stodgy old white males. We need to bring in Heather to have some female representation. Girl power, yay, okay? And then they do that. And then once Heather comes in, Heather brings all of her friends along with her. And she gets that nepotism going on when she's established in there. Once all of her friends are in there, they have an overwhelming amount of people who then can control appointments, who can control the industry, who controls who gets published, who controls what books actually get seen and what people get on what properties. It becomes a big spiral. Once they do that, they make sure people like me, people like Ethan Van Sciver, people like Eric July don't get hired into any of those positions because it's all about politics. It's not about the quality of the product. Once they do that, they tell us that we need to be excluded from these spaces in the name of inclusivity. Yes, they're excluding for inclusivity. It is a complete irony. They try to get us banned from conventions. Of course, I got called security on me because I was attending a IDW panel at Comic-Con. It's my job as a journalist to cover this stuff, but that is something that's, quote, threatening to them. And they do view us as a threat. That's the craziest part about all this. We just want to enjoy our comics. We want to ask the hard questions. We want to treat this like a professional industry, but they can't allow that. If they allow that, they acknowledge the fact that they've torpedoed everything that's gone on in the industry through their nepotism, that they've created these just disasters with these properties that people used to love. They've hurt fans, they've hurt professionals, and then of course they're hurting people's livelihoods now as it's all sinking and crumbling down. They can't acknowledge that. They don't want to. Their clout, their status, their titles, their award nominations are their resume for their next jumping point. And that's what happens. These companies see these people. They say, oh, yeah, look at this person. She was associate editor at Marvel, then editor at Valiant, and now she's senior editor at IDW. Wow, what a resume. And, oh, wow, and it checks the diversity box, too. So they think that they can actually do something and that these titles have some sort of meaning over time. And that's what's caused the whole problem within the industry. But there's really nothing on our end to fear. And this is what I always got to say to people. Yes, they're going to try to exclude you. Yes, they're going to try to make you into the bad guy. They're going to say you're a terrible person. You're harassing. You're a troll. All of these things over and over and over again. But you know better. You know that you're the real, true person who understands these properties. In my case, I'm a better Star Trek expert than anybody who's working at IDW right now. I'm a better comic expert than many people who are working at many of these companies also. I'm a better writer than a lot of people who are working at many of these companies also. I'm a better journalist than pretty much anybody at IGN or any of the approved outlets. I know this, and I am not going to let them gaslight me otherwise. I'm not going to let them just say, okay, this is our space now. I own Star Trek now. They don't. It's licensed to them. So this is somewhere you're going to have to be excluded from. You don't allow that to happen. You just show up. You just exist, and they're going to crumble themselves, and we are going to win because we just have the truth and wonderful stuff on our side. So take heart, everybody. Their fear is the fact that they know that they're fraudulent. They know that this entire system is fraudulent. If you ever watch this part of this interview, which we'll do on my live stream on Monday, you'll see there's a point in there where they actually talk about how the industry is collapsing, how people can't make money off of comics because of the whole distribution middleman system. Heather actually lays out the financial way that this industry is set up to be destructive, and it's actually true. This happens across the board, and we're changing things so much with our independent work that we're winning, and it scares the heck out of them because they don't want us to have those victories. They don't want us to have careers. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.